Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks for joining us for Euromaxx highlights. Well, let's have a look at some of this week's festive fun. First up, bright ideas. An Austrian company lights up Europe at Christmas. Place your bets. People in Britain vote for their favourite Christmas adverts. And in the money, some lucky winners of last year's Christmas lottery in Spain. Well, city centres and shopping malls around Europe have been kitted out in their annual Christmas attire. Baubles, angel hair and lights as far as the eye can see. Much of that luminosity actually comes from Austria. The largest European supplier of Christmas lights can be found in the city of Innsbruck. And they have as many different kinds of orders as there are countries.
Glittering lights are an essential part of the Christmas celebrations. Sculptures that decorate cities across Europe during the holiday season. They're all the work of one designer, Georg Oehler, a master of Christmas illumination.
My overall concept is that I want to evoke emotions and transport people back to their childhood, to call up those powerful memories we have of our first Christmas or the first one we can remember. I grew up in Tyrol, and I remember walking into the living room and being surprised by the illuminated Christmas tree.
After drafting his designs, Oehler consults with the rest of the team at MK Illumination. The company has its headquarters in Innsbruck, Austria, and has branches in 28 countries around the world. It's Europe's largest supplier for Christmas illuminations and sells its installations in 120 countries.
We always look to see if there are interesting local themes we can incorporate. That's more exciting than having everything look the same everywhere. And when people see we're not just copying and importing designs from somewhere else, we have a stronger connection to what we've created.
On business trips, Mark sits at the window so that he can draw inspiration from the ocean of lights down below. He and his team draw on local themes and culture in their designs. Here in South Africa, the result was a rhino in lights. In Sweden, it was reindeers. Every country has its own preferences. Scandinavians tend to prefer traditional designs.
Not too much color, somewhat restrained, Nordic and refined.
But in Southern Europe, Christmas illuminations are quite different, like here in the Italian city of Salerno.
Crazy colors, all the colors of the rainbow. The busier it is, the more action, the better. You get the sense that your eyes are moving constantly from one thing to the next.
Sometimes the illuminated sculptures become a local landmark during the festive season, like this one in central Stockholm. It took more than a year to come up with the design.
When you create animal sculptures, you also pay attention to the facial expression, which helps create the sense of identification. We are blessed with a fantastic team of designers. One of the strengths of MK Illumination is the sculptural element, the way we take an idea in a sketch and translate it into a 3D sculpture. Another is the craftsmanship. Every piece is welded together by hand, and that's what lets us create sculptures that evoke an emotional response.
Every year before Christmas, about 1,000 light installations take shape across Europe over a 3-week period. It's a logistical challenge, and business is booming. In order to compete with online retailers, store owners try to create a memorable shopping experience. Illumination plays an important role.
It turns shopping into an experience. Retailers that do a better job creating a setting that customers enjoy are more successful. What really pleases me is the way light can please people. It's magical. It makes people happy, makes children smile. Children are important because they decide where you go to shop. It's the children who say, let's go and look at the elk again.
During the weeks before Christmas, designer Georg Oehler likes to visit cities that are decked out in his designs. He wants to see how people react to his work. It's great. It makes me happy. It's pretty when it shines. You can wish on the stars and then make your wishes come true here.
It helps people spend an extra euro or two.
It makes you want to shop, and it gets you in the Christmas spirit. Christmas illuminations are a winner when it comes to creating a festive mood. And for retailers, that means attracting lots of customers.
Well, it's in full festive swing here today for the Euromaxx Highlights show. And one of the key ingredients for any Christmas, of course, is the tree. We take a look at the history of the famous furs that light up many a living room around the globe.
In Germany, no Christmas is complete without a Christmas tree. But where exactly did the tradition originate? The Weihnachtshaus in Husum, northern Germany, is a museum devoted to the topic of Christmas. It's run by Alex Paulsen.
You could say Christmas is a very German holiday. The first time a fir tree was decorated with lights was in a German-speaking region. Exactly where is still a matter of debate. We'll never know for sure. But there was an early version of a Christmas tree in Silesia.
The Germans' tree of choice is the Nordmann fir, grown in some 7,000 Christmas tree plantations across the country and cut down when they're 8 to 12 years old. The tree originally comes from the Caucasus Mountains. It's popular because it tends to be straight. Its needles are relatively soft and it doesn't shed too much, but it's less fragrant than the other trees. Even so, around 75% of German Christmas trees are Nordmann firs. Matthias Barton decorates Christmas trees for companies and hotels.
It's supposed to symbolize the birth of Jesus, new life in the world. Originally, people would hang a tree somewhere in the home to represent a paradise tree or a tree of life.
The Christmas tree used to be considered a pagan tradition. Only in the mid-19th century did the custom become widespread. Ironically, this peaceful tradition began in wartime.
During the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 71, the Kaiser had small decorated trees placed in hospitals and camps. The soldiers who survived the war then introduced this as a custom once they returned home. There have been Christmas trees in homes ever since.
In the beginning, people would decorate their trees not with ornaments, but with fruit and nuts. But legend has it that there came a time in the mid-19th century when glassblowers in Lauscha, Thuringia could no longer afford these treats. So they started making glass ornaments instead. Glass-blown Christmas ornaments are still made the old-fashioned way in Lauscha. The glass surface gets a coating of silver to make them shiny, or is hand-painted. This moon face was made with a mold dating from 1910. 100 years ago, Christmas decorations were incredibly diverse and filigree.
The craftsmen who made these forms were meticulous and professional. They don't make Christmas ornaments like that anymore. And that's a pity. But it makes the old pieces even more valuable.
Back in Berlin, florist Matthias Barton is hard at work. Over 23 million Christmas trees are sold in Germany each year. Most people favor classic decorations. Many traditional trimmings are symbolic. Christmas ornaments are actually supposed to evoke the apple in the story of Adam and Eve. Tinsel is thought to represent angel hair. The star at the top of the tree is, of course, a reference to the Star of Bethlehem.
There are always some new trends with Christmas trees, like replacing them with a single abstract branch and minimalist ornaments. But in recent years, families and older generations have come to appreciate the romance of an old-fashioned tree. They remind us of our childhood, and it'd be a shame if we stopped trimming them. They're lovely and symbolic.
It takes 3 hours to get the tree sparkling. Time now for Matthias Barton to start wrapping some gifts. Christmas presents were originally small enough to hang on the tree, but as they got bigger, they ended up under it.
Moving on to the UK now, where nothing is safe from the bookmakers, especially at Christmas time, when the Brits seem keen to back anything in sight. They put money on everything, from the weather to who's going to sing the Christmas #1. They even place bets on who will produce the best Christmas TV ad. Huge department stores battle it out every year to see who can create the top Christmas commercial. So who's it going to be this year that's going to have the King of Christmas Advertising title? Let's have a look.
They're elaborately produced and hotly anticipated, and every year when they launch in late November, the Christmas advertising campaigns of Britain's major department stores captivate the nation.
I can feel the warning signs.
Within days, the TV spots go viral. Then the race is on for the year's best Christmas commercial, and companies go to great lengths and expense to come out on top.
Through brand loyalty and through their advertisement, they try to create an emotional bond with the consumer. In 2007, when I think John Lewis started creating these advertisements, and then they setting the bar really high, and every year they try to set the bar even higher and making adverts better and more connected and emotionally connected.
A favorite this year is the 2-minute spot Man on the Moon for the department store chain John Lewis. In it, a young girl discovers a lonely man on the moon. The underlying message is many elderly people have to spend Christmas all by themselves. The commercial cost a reported 9.5 million euros to make. It became a runaway YouTube sensation, clocking more than 22 million clicks to date. That is eclipsed by Sainsbury's commercial, which features Mog, the calamity-prone cat who accidentally sets his family's house on fire and nearly ruins their Christmas. Mog is a much-loved children's book character that has enjoyed celebrity status in Britain for decades.
Mog's one of the nation's best-loved literary characters. I've got 2 young children, and I remember reading Mog to them as part of that bedtime routine. The idea is very much like last year about Christmas is for sharing. We wanted to do something that really brought families together at Christmas, and we think Mog is a perfect character to do that.
The battle for best Christmas ad is the subject of heated debate every year.
Oh, what would you say?
I'd say the Sainsbury's one.
The Sainsbury's?
Yeah,
I'm going to go for the John Lewis one.
It's more emotional, I think, the John Lewis advert was. More emotional, yeah. It's a good advert, I think. It just makes you cry.
One factor fueling this unofficial competition is a national love of betting on anything and everything.
Britain is a nation founded on competitive ideals. It's the country that gave birth to a lot of the sports and the games that we play around the world. So there's betting in every aspect of life. It's not just betting on the horses, but people in Britain do tend to bet on all sorts of absurd things.
Department stores are naturally also vying for the spending, not just the hearts, of viewers. The telescope featured in the John Lewis clip sold out online within minutes of the ad's debut. But the biggest gain to be made is a boost in company image. That is why the campaigns include charities and encourage viewers to donate.
Actually, commercial activity can also lead to people giving money to good causes. And Britain does have a really strong tradition of charity.
This year's Sainsbury's campaign has another trump card. It features a cameo appearance by the famous children's book author Judith Kerr, who invented Mog the cat in the 1970s.
I never really thought I'd see Mog in 3D. The original Mog, I think, never thought that would happen to her.
Touching characters and a charitable message wrapped up in emotional packaging. It's a recipe that has only recently struck a chord in British hearts.
These are really quite emotionally incontinent little movies, which are meant to bring a tear to the eye, and I think they show you that a country which used to be sort of famously emotionally repressed is no more. It's actually very happy about the idea of crying in public.
And naturally, every Christmas story needs a happy end. The neighbors help rebuild the house. The old man feels less alone. And ultimately, every film that softens a stiff upper lip can be classified a winner.
Well, in Spain, the festive season would not be complete without the annual Christmas lottery. People often get together to buy tickets in the hope of hitting the jackpot. We caught up with one group of museum workers who won big in the annual draw.
Each December, Spain holds its Christmas lottery. Often the staff of entire companies take part, as seen in a current TV ad featuring workers in a mannequin factory. It's the world's largest prize drawing. In 2014, the Madrid Wax Museum landed El Gordo, the big one, the jackpot of 64 million euros. The museum spokesman, Gonzalo Presa, remembers the moment very well.
It was a moment when dreams become reality. You just can't imagine that happening. And then someone says, hey, that's the number that the museum bought. And then I confirmed it really was a match. As the museum spokesman, the first thing I did was send a press release to all the media, saying that the Madrid Wax Museum had been blessed with the jackpot from the Christmas lottery. I celebrated only afterward. First, I had to do my job.
The museum's 32 staff members had been playing the lottery together for years. Friends, relatives, and co-workers often share the expensive tickets. The museum staff had bought 160 tickets at 20 euros each. The winning share came to 400,000 euros per ticket.
With my lottery winnings, I bought a house and paid off all my outstanding bills and bank loans. Now I can just enjoy life. And without all that worrying, I work with a lot more energy.
At the museum itself, little seems to have changed.
About 80% of the staff still work here. They're happier. I think working at something you enjoy is also a kind of jackpot. Not everyone has that. That's good luck in itself. I count myself lucky, so I'm staying here.
Spain's Christmas lottery dates back over 200 years. It distributes over 2 billion euros in several thousand prizes. The numbers and payouts are drawn from separate raffle drums. The draw is broadcast live on TV and goes on for hours. 2 pupils from the San Ildefonso school draw the 1,774 numbers and sing them out loud. Last year's jackpot number was 13437. The numbers that the betting pool at the Wax Museum had played. The multi-million euro jackpot made the museum and its staff famous overnight.
Cristiano Ronaldo is famous in the true sense of the word because of his own accomplishments, but I'm not. It's simply good fortune. Since December 22nd last year, I feel a lot happier.
Maybe those studies showing lottery winners are just as happy or unhappy 6 months after their win as they were before are wrong after all. Just before Christmas, Spain is overtaken by lottery fever. The ticket holders are hoping they'll be as lucky as the museum staff. A tip from a past winner to a future winner.
If you score a big payout like 1 million euros, keep your feet as firmly on the ground as Cristiano Ronaldo does on the soccer pitch. Stay down to earth and enjoy life. Everyone knows life is a lottery and the payout is to live normally and stay healthy. And if you should have the kind of good fortune that we did, so much the better.
Gonzalo Presa has one final piece of advice. Visit the Madrid Wax Museum. It's the luckiest museum in the world.
We're in Denmark now, where we visited a truly stunning home. It belongs to a fashion designer, Michaela Wisnek, who has created numerous collections for major labels, so she obviously has an eye for style and detail. In fact, her beautifully decorated home is often featured in design magazines. On top of that, she lives in a fantastic listed building in the heart of the Danish capital.
In the Danish capital Copenhagen, everything is easily reached by bike. The listed building that Michaela Wisnek calls home is located in a quiet street in the city center.
Hello, welcome to my home.
The fashion designer shares the 190 square meter 5-room apartment with her son. It boasts original stuccoed ceilings, original doors and window frames, just as they were 100 years ago when the house was built.
I was not allowed to change anything else but to repaint the walls and to pigment the floors. That's a part of living in a historical apartment where you actually feel that there has been a history before you came. I love it. I could never imagine to live in a new house.
Even the cupboards and tiles in the kitchen are original features.
These are from when the house was built in 1915, and they are very historical preserved. For me, they are lovely because I really like everything with ornaments. And once they really inspired me for a piece of clothes, for print on clothes, and I think they are gorgeous.
Wisnek's own fashions reflect the focus on inspiring details and creative mix of materials that define her interior style. She works from home. After 20 years with big-name houses like Christian Lacroix, she now has her own label.
It's very important to me to be in a personal environment where I can always, if I don't have an idea here on my table, I can turn around and find a wonderful new celadon green color for the new collection. I'm always on an inspiration trip. It could be Sunday night at 8 o'clock. I have an idea. So for me, there is there's no fine line between work and private life.
Michaela spends a lot of time traveling, both for business and pleasure. Souvenirs from her travels can be found in her apartment.
This piece is a special piece because I found her in the flea market in New York. And of course, my son and me was not clear about how we should take her home because she was quite heavy. So she traveled in the hand luggage with us. So she was sitting next to us in the airplane. This piece also has a special story because it was in Hanoi in Vietnam. I was going by a little shop with a tailor who had a very traditional little tailor Vietnamese jacket with the traditional clothing, and it was quilted, and I really loved it. And then I asked him to do a big blanket in the same fabric and the same quilt.
Wisnek cleverly combines different styles and periods.
The Danish modern classic pieces, especially like these couches and a lot of other pieces, is very well blending in with the Asian, Japanese furniture design because it's a story about they actually speak very well together. It's less is more, there is nothing extra.
Mikhaila Wiesneck's apartment reflects her personal aesthetic. It's a serene, sophisticated space with personal memories from around the world.
That's it. Thanks for watching, and from all the crew, have a very happy Christmas, and we'll see you soon here. Bye-bye.